Let's go around the horn, guys. Which do you think, Blake, is going to be the toughest confirmation that is looming? Obviously, you know, we can condense the list down. And this will be an interesting thought crime panel discussion. Do you think the most difficult will be Bobby, Tulsi, or Hegseth? Which of the three, Blake, do you think will be the most difficult? I have a strong opinion on this. I will go last. Blake, go first.
What feels weird to me is, I guess, intuitively to me, it feels like Hegseth should be the toughest one. Like, that's how it feels it should be to me, given I feel like we've sort of, it is weird to pick a TV host to run DOD. And like rationally, it's one where you would probably want the highest standards. Like the stakes are really high. It's an enormously complex organization. It's almost like being the CEO of a company with 3 million employees. It's very huge. Whereas like DNI or Director of National Intelligence, you can you're just sort of sifting information. You're like preparing digests for the president. That said, it just does seem like the narratives have decided to solidify on RFK as the toughest one. The reason I think I am going to go with him actually being the toughest one, the reason I'm going to say that is RFK is the one where actual money is at stake, where you have very large industries with many billions of dollars that are 100% not going to want RFK in that job, and they'll go all out. They will research, they will bring up every single piece of hit piece material they can. They might like break the law. They'll like break into a psychiatrist's office to steal his medical records or something. Like I've heard of that happening before. I can see everything being on the table because of the amount of money being involved, and you don't quite have the same kind of stakes there for DOD or for DNI. And so I would guess that RFK is going to be the toughest one, even though it doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Jack, which one do you think will be the most difficult? And then I will close.
Okay, yeah. So, Nominees, Tyler. No, Blake, I just want to say that I agree what you're saying about Pete, that he seems to be the one that currently seems to be has an easier path, or at least seems to have an easier path than the others at the moment. RFK, of course, that's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. You've got billions of dollars on the line when it comes to pharma, when it comes to GMOs, et cetera, et cetera. I honestly think it's going to be Tulsi, because the Tulsi fight has already begun. Nikki Haley, and everybody was laughing about Nikki Haley and said, oh, ha, she's putting out this little statement on her podcast nobody listens to, and she's going after, Tulsi. She's got sour grapes, and she's jealous and all this because she got passed over. Look. Listen to what Nikki Haley was saying in there. These statements regarding Saudi Arabia, regarding Iran, regarding different peace deals, things that Tulsi has weighed in on in the past, stuff that she may have said when she was a card-carrying Democrat, by the way, before she had her conversion, before she came over as a Republican. They are going to use, just like your Miranda rights, anything you say can and will be used against you. And so they're going to bring all that up. And then keep in mind, folks, you've got the war party out there that is looking at billions of dollars coming down to the very end when it comes to the Ukraine war, when it comes to Israel, Gaza, when it comes to so many other things around the world. And so they want one of their people in there. And certainly, by the way, the intel community does not want someone up there who's actually going to declassify things and tell the truth about various operations that have been going on, because the DNI actually does have budget oversight for the other agencies, specifically for the national National Intelligence Program, the NIPIF. So the NIPIF, which is the National Intelligence Program framework. So the
acronyms. I'm acronymed out.
Charlie.
I'm acronymed out, Jack.
Right.
I can't.
We literally talked about it. Charlie and I were chatting about this. Charlie and I were literally chatting about this all day, and I go and drop one on him.
It is just
Freeze will shoot you.
It is what people that are not qualified to be in charge of things, they do this to try and intimidate you as if they are.
It's the intel budget. It is the intel budget. That's what I'm talking about. It's the Intel budget. So it's sort of like it decides what programs get funded where at what agencies. That's called the NIPIF. And the DNI does have to sign off on that. So that's a huge piece of it. And look, if she sits there and starts asking questions about, hey, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? That's going to lead to a lot of answers that people do not want out there. So I think Tulsi.
Tyler, which of the three do you think are the most, is going to be the hardest?
You know what? I actually think I have a different take. I think RFK is it. I think RFK is going to be the toughest. And here's the reason why. RFK was banished from the Democrat circles because of the amount of there's one thing that you can do that will tick off the Democrats more than anything else based off of their infrastructure that they have in the new Soros arrangement with everything else, with Arabella, and that is to fundraise away from other Democrats. And so I actually think that there is the largest axe to grind, and there's the most hatred and vitriol out of anybody, including Matt Gaetz, is actually for RFK. So getting him across the finish line would be massive, would be huge, because the Democrats are being told from the people who hold their purse strings that RFK is, public enemy number one, and this should have never happened.
Okay. Any thought there, Jack?
Well, one thing I like to throw out is, do we think, and sort of a question for the bunch, do we think that someone like Tulsi or RFK, who Tulsi was a Democrat until 5 minutes ago, RFK is currently a card-carrying Democrat, do we think there's any possibility of Democrat votes coming over for them? You look at something like a Bernie Sanders, who Tulsi was instrumental towards in 2016. You look at someone like a John Ossoff, who's in a state that Trump won decisively, and he's up for re-election in 26. Or even someone like John Fetterman, who's trying to play this game of like, oh, I'm a moderate, I'm based Fetterman or whatever. I'm not saying that I think it's going to happen, but I also think, why not target 3 or 4 and see what happens?
Yeah, I think it's highly unlikely.
My belief is this. I think Tulsi is by far the hardest. And hear me out. That Bobby Kennedy's going to be tough. However, he is so well liked by the base. Tulsi is too. But Bobby will get like fever pitch support from the base. I think Tyler agrees that there's Bobby energy that doesn't exist of all the other three. Secondly, with HHS, it's going to be a fight. There is a ton of money there. But of the three, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. Of the three, the keeper of secrets, Tulsi Gabbard, is going to be the biggest fight. You think about Pete Hegseth, okay? So with Pete Hegseth, he'll make the military less woke. He'll make it more lethal. In some ways, neocons will be okay with that, right? It's not, and he will only be able to do as much as what the president does, right? And there's not like mass amounts of like institutional long decade disruption to their plans that Pete Hegseth can do that the president is not already determining, right? Because the president every single day is dictating the cadence of the foreign policy. Okay. Now, Pete will be able to, by the way, a lot of senators are coming out in support of Pete, a lot. Mark Wayne Mullen, like he's gaining a lot of momentum on the Hill, more so than the other nominees. Now, by the way, I love Tulsi. I was just with her today. Like I'm 100% behind Tulsi. However, let me build out the case. Bobby is interesting. I think Bobby is going to do very well in his confirmation hearing. He'll have depth of knowledge. And what is their excuse for Bobby going to be? That he's a vaccine skeptic? Okay, I think he'll actually be able to explain that pretty well. But with Tulsi, think about it. What Tulsi could do at the head of DNI, we're talking about fulfilling the promise of the JFK files. We're talking about finding out potential foreign involvement in 9/11 beyond what we know, like Saudi intelligence, et cetera, which, Jack, I know you've been very interested in throughout the years. We're talking about getting to the baseline of the origins of COVID. We're talking about the origins of Russiagate. The keeper of secrets, if I had to say where they're going to fight the highest, is the intel community.